So 2016 question 6, we have to differentiate the function 2x plus 4 to be squared with respect to x from first principles. So by definition, dy or the f dx is the limit of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h as h tends to 0. So that's something you need to learn off by heart. Now here the function f of x is 2x plus 4 all to be squared. Now if we square that out, that gives 4x squared plus 16x plus 16. So we now know what f of x is. Next of all, we need to find out what f of x plus h is. So that just means everywhere we've got an x, we're going to replace that with x plus h. So this then means that f of x plus h is 4 times x plus h to be squared plus 16 times x plus h plus 16. Now x plus h to be squared gives x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. And we're still multiplying that by 4, and then we've got 16 times x plus 16 times h plus a 16. If you then multiply in by the 4, you get 4x squared plus 8hx plus 4h squared plus 16x plus 16h plus 16. So we've now worked out what f of x plus h is. Next of all, we need to work out what f of x plus h minus f of x. Okay, so f of x plus h was the 4x squared plus 8hx plus 4h squared plus 16x plus 16h plus 16. And then we need to subtract the original function, which is the 4x squared plus 16x plus 16. Now you can see the x squareds cancel, the 16x cancels, and the 16 cancels. So we're just left with the 8hx plus 4h squared plus 16h. The next step then is to divide everything by h. And then what happens is that here the h cancels and you're left with 8x plus, here you'd be left at 4h, and here we then just a plus 16. So the last step then is to get the limit as h tends to 0. So if we get the limit as h tends to 0, the 4h will disappear and we'll just be left with the 8x plus 16. So this means that the f dx is 8x plus 16. B part 1. If y equals x times the sine of 1 over x, we want to find dy dx. Now here we're multiplying two functions. We're multiplying the function x by the sine of 1 over x. Now the sine of 1 over x, that can be written as the sine of x to the minus 1. Okay, so 1 over x is the same as x to the minus 1. Now this means we're going to be using the product rule to differentiate. So if y equals u times v, that's when you're multiplying two functions together. This means then dy dx is u times dv dx plus v times du dx. You can think of this as being the first differentiate the second plus the second differentiate the first. So here then y equals x times the sine of x to the power of minus x to the minus 1. So again the rule is it's the first, then we have to differentiate the second, plus the second differentiate the first. So here dy dx is going to be, the first is x. Now if you differentiate sine x to the power of minus 1, when you differentiate the sine, that becomes a cos x to the minus 1. But then we have to use the chain rule and differentiate inside the brackets. And if you differentiate x to the minus 1, you get minus 1 times x to the power of minus 2. Next of all then, it's plus the second differentiate the first. So it's going to be plus the sine of x to the power of minus 1 times, when you differentiate x then, that just gives 1. So then it's just a case of tidying up. We can write this as x cos 1 over x. And we can write this as minus 1 over x squared plus the sine then of 1 over x. Okay, now this minus 1 over x squared, this is multiplied by the cos of 1 over x. So we can bring this out in front, and the x on top and the x squared on the bottom. So that x will divide with that to just leave it as minus 1 over x. So in front we're going to get minus 1 over x cos of 1 over x plus the sine of 1 over x. Next of all, we want to find the slope of the tangent of the curve y equals x sine of 1 over x, and that's when x equals 4 over pi. To get the slope of a tangent to a curve, we have to differentiate and substitute in the value for x. Now we have already differentiated this function, and when we differentiated we did get minus 1 over x cos 1 over x plus the sine of 1 over x. What we now need to do is put in x is 4 over pi. So this gives minus, now when you've got minus 1 over 4 over pi, if you invert that, that gives minus pi over 4. Similarly, when you've got 1 all over 4 over pi, that gives cos of pi over 4 plus sine pi over 4. Now you need to convert your calculator to radians, and if you evaluate this when your calculator is in radian mode, the y dx then works out as 0.15.